A triangle is made up of 3 sides and 3 angles. And the triangle sum theorem says the sum of the measures of all 3 angles is always 180 degrees. So if I take the measure of angle 1 and I add the measure of angle 2 and add the measure of angle 3, for an answer, I will get 180 degrees no matter what kind of triangle I have. In order to do the exterior angles theorem, we first need to decide what an exterior angle is. Well, to get an exterior angle, we need to extend one of the sides of the triangle. So if I extend this side, I create another angle out here called angle 4. The exterior angles theorem says this: the measure of that exterior angle is equal to the sum of the 2 non-adjacent interior angles. Well, non-adjacent means not next to, and interior means inside the triangle. Notice that exterior and interior are exterior and interior of the triangle, different than interior and exterior of parallel lines. Interior and exterior mean the same. When we apply them to a triangle, we have a slightly different definition. So the exterior angles theorem says this: if I take the measure of angle 4, that's my exterior angle, it's going to equal the sum of my 2 non-adjacent interior angles. The measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3. These 2 angles are my my non-adjacent interior angles. But this angle is not the only exterior angle. If I extend this side of the triangle, I create another exterior angle that I'm going to call angle 5. And if you look, angle 5 will also be equal to the sum of these 2 non-adjacent interior angles. Well, I can do the same thing around angle 2. If I extend this side in this direction, I create an exterior angle here that I'm going to call 6. The measure of angle 6 is going to equal the sum of my 2 non-adjacent interior angles, angle 1 and angle 3. If I extend this side of the triangle, I create another exterior angle, angle 7. And the measure of angle 7 equals the sum of these 2 non-adjacent interior angles. And finally, if I go to vertex 3, if I extend this side, I create an exterior angle here, and this exterior angle is going to equal the sum of these 2 remote interior. I can extend this side and create another exterior angle. Now if you look, each one of these angles, or each one of these sets of angles creates another angle right here and here and here. Now we don't have a name for these angles. They're not quite exterior angles. The only thing that I know is that they are congruent to the interior angle because they're vertical. There are other angle relationships in these pictures. If we look, 1 and 4 form a linear pair. So that means that the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 4 equals 180 degrees. I can do the same thing with angle 1 and 5. They both form a linear pair, which means that they are supplementary by the linear pair postulate. I can do the same thing with angle 6 and angle 2. They form a linear pair, so they're supplementary. Same with angle 7 and angle 2. They form a linear pair, so by the linear pair postulate, they're supplementary. So is angle 8 and angle 3, and angle 9 and angle 3. I also have some vertical angles in my picture. Angle 4 is vertical to angle 5, so they are equal to each other. Their measures are equal. Angle 6 and angle 7 are vertical, so their measures are equal. And angle 8 and angle 9 are vertical, so their measures are equal. Well, let's use this diagram to answer these two examples. I'm given angle 2 and angle 3, and I need to find angle 4 and angle 1. So what I need to do is I need to find an equation from above that involves angle 2 and angle 3 and angle 4. So if I look, here's an example that involves angle 2 and 3 and 4. So that's where I want to start. The measure of angle 4 is going to equal the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3. My exterior angle is equal to the sum of the two non-adjacent interior angles. Well, I can plug in what I know. I know angle 2 is 85 degrees and angle 3 is 40 degrees. I'm given that information. Now I can do my math, and I get 85 plus 40, 125. To figure out angle 1, I need to find an equation that has 1, 2, and 3. Well, if I look, this very first equation has angles 1, 2, and 3 in it. So that's my starting point. The measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3 equals 180 degrees. Plug in what I know. Angle 2 is 85 degrees. Angle 3 is 40 degrees. And solve for the measure of angle 1. Combine like terms. Subtract 125 degrees from both sides. And I'm left with the measure of angle 1 equals 55 degrees. Number 2 is a little bit more tricky. I know about angle 1 and 2 and 3. And I need to solve for angle 2 and angle 3. Now, angle 2 I know in terms of angle 3. So if I knew angle 3, I could figure out angle 2. So what I really need to do is solve for angle 3, and that will tell me how big angle 2 is. I'm going to start with the equation that involves 1, 2, and 3. The measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3 equals 180 degrees. Again, I'm going to plug in what I know from my given. Angle 1 is 30 degrees. Angle 2 is this big. It's 3 times the measure of angle 3 plus 10 degrees. So I'm going to substitute this entire thing in for the measure of angle 2. And I still have a measure of angle 3 here. And it still equals 180. So all I've done is taken my equation and substituted in my given information. But when I've done that, I do have like terms. 30 degrees and 40 degrees, 30 degrees and 10 degrees gives me 40 degrees. And if you look, I have 3 times the measure of angle 3 plus the measure of angle 3. Well, this is just saying I have 3 measures of angle 3, and I have 1 measure of angle 3 here. It's kind of like adding 3x plus x. Gives me a grand total of 4 x's. In this case, I have a grand total of 4 measures of angle 3. I have 3 of them here and 1 here. When I add, I get 4 total. I'm really just combining like terms where my like term is the measure of angle 3. Subtract 40 degrees from both sides of my equal sign. Divide by 4, and I'm left with the measure of angle 3 equals 35 degrees. Now to solve for angle 2, I can take this answer and plug it in right here. So the measure of angle 2 equals 3 times the measure of angle 3 plus 10 degrees. So the measure of angle 2 is going to be 3 times 35 degrees plus 10. So the measure of angle 2 is 3 times 35, which is 105, plus 10. So the measure of angle 2 is going to be 115 degrees. It's 3 angle 3's plus another 10 degrees. I can always check my answer by plugging them back in. 30 plus 115 plus 35 should equal 180.